5 minutes.
I'll take that off scan, turn it down. You might want to on the school.
We did test
If it's scanning, it
mics and
would
videos.
disrupt the meeting the whole time we were here. So
Any
I'll just
issues
put it down
with
if I
anybody
can
not
just
the conversation?
the things that are truly relevant.
Well, Janelle, it looks like the mics are picking up, so we should hopefully.
Yeah, I think it's a YouTube issue at times.
I think I just saw Dacia's vehicle pull in.
Yeah, we've got a couple minutes before we'll begin. Wait for anybody else that's coming. We had invited everybody.
Oh, you can come on in.
Yeah, okay. Back here.
Hi there.
Yeah, probably.
Down here. You're more than welcome to sit up at the table if you'd like.
Hi, Lori.
You got it figured out. We're good.
I'm sure there are gonna be more constituents showing up.
More than welcome to anybody.
You must be here for
Questions that we will be
I thought maybe
tonight.
Lori was here for you.
Hi. No,
No?
I'm here for Doris.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Mayor Machado.
Hi,
Nice to meet you.
Who's good? Yep.
Yeah, and we can bring more chairs up.
The kid was making me play soccer outside.
Feeling cute? These are some questions that I wanted some answers to tonight.
You didn't, okay.
Yeah. What do you got for me?
If more people show up, I can sit back there.
It's okay. No, we'll just pull some more chairs up. We're not excluding anybody. I want to hear from everybody. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah, about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Theo was a good kicker.
Oh, yeah, he loves soccer.
He really is. He
Maybe
was
we'd
doing
be
great.
wearing you out down there.
Oh, man, he made me go outside.
Hi
Hi,
there. Come on up.
Hi, Bert.
I missed anything yet?
We haven't even started yet. So here is a list of questions that I'll be asking tonight.
Yeah, pretty much everything's done. We're just waiting on the backsplash to get here, so that Jones can install the backsplash and the cabinet. And then it'll just be, honestly, after that, it'll just be getting the contractor to help us with the skylight. And then the, Mark's.
Oh, you don't want dinner?
No. I have pen, that means I have to take notes.
Oh, I wouldn't mind taking one.
Does anybody need an extra pen?
Right, and
Hi
yeah,
there. The pen thrower.
Just
and here we just have
5:30. There you go. Okay. All right. All right, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started with our work session for the local assessment district. We brought you all here today. I just want to go ahead and go around the room because we've got a lot of faces in here right now to make sure everybody knows who everybody is, so that there's no confusion. I am Candace Machado. I am the mayor of Evansville.
Shane Porter, the town engineer.
You're almost on the fire chief.
Phil Gerke, councilman.
Tiffany Gamble, Hat 6 Travel Center.
Joanne Newmiller, Sunshine Valley Petroleum and other companies.
Deja Edwards, council member.
Jeremy Foote with Halliburton.
Lori Hogan, I represent Doris McMahon, her agent.
Robert Llewellyn, Public Works.
Ray Thompson, chief of police. Tim Coleman.
Trevor Shank, I'm with Chapman, Valdez and Lansing, and we're just helping draft documents, and so if I can help answer some statutory questions, I will.
I'm Bart Andreen with AHC Investments.
And Miss Janelle?
Janelle Underwood, Town Clerk, Evansville.
Okay, so how this is going to go, this is going to be a very uniform discussion because we have a lot of people that are sitting around this table that aren't always sitting around this table with us on a regular basis, but our council wanted to give everybody, and our esteemed town attorney.
Timely.
Can you tell us who you are, sir?
Scott Murray, town attorney.
Okay, thank you, sir. So we're going to do this in a uniform fashion since we have a lot of people sitting in this room right now. But we have heard from a lot of you in the first reading and in the second reading, and there is quite a bit of opposition for the local assessment district. So we wanted to bring everybody together to try to have a little bit more of an understanding in regards to how to move forward with this. We do have a council session tonight, but we won't be making any determinations or decisions in that council session tonight. So just so everybody is aware, so there's no confusion regarding that. I have a list of questions here. Hi there, sir. What is your name?
How you doing?
We're good.
Sorry I'm late.
You're okay.
Go ahead, no, you're good.
Charlie Shaw.
Hey, Mr. Coleman, how are you doing?
Good.
Mr. Coleman, can you pass that down to him? Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Llewellyn. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go around, and as the newer mayor of Evansville, I don't handle decisions and choices, and neither does our council. We don't handle them lightly, and we don't act on emotion, and we want everybody to have a voice and an understanding in how we got to this place. And so that is the reason why we're all sitting in this room right now, is why are we specifically here at this place? So there is some boundaries. That's that social worker in me. There is boundaries that I want to establish since we have a lot of people sitting at this table right now. So the first boundary, if someone is speaking, no one else will be talking. So there's not going to be any overlapping in discussion, because sometimes you get a lot of people in a room, the conversation can get intense. And so if anybody would like to speak, they're more than welcome to do that, but I'd like for you to wait your turn in order to do that. Also, we will have a maximum of 5 minutes to speak. So everyone will have a 5-minute share out of whatever they would like to establish. Now, there are specific questions that we have proposed on this list here that all of you have. Does everybody have a copy? Does anybody need a copy? Okay, so we're gonna go ahead, and I'd like to hear from all of the business owners in regards to these questions and anything additional you would like to add. The one thing that I want everybody to understand, that if we don't go through with the local assessment district, if we decide as a council to not go into that third reading by saying, yes, I want us all to be thinking about how are we going to be moving forward as a collective group, because from my understanding, it seems that the reason why we're initially all sitting here at this table is because there's been some challenges or some struggles in the past, but I want to hear from each of you what those might actually be so that we have a clear understanding of how to move forward, at least on my side as a town. So with that being said, my only boundary is no overstepping people in discussion. Our council, if you guys have any additional questions that you would like to ask any of the business owners, we'll ask that you guys hold the questions until the very end so that we can hear from everybody that's sitting at the table. Does that all make sense?
So you have 2 council members present plus yourself?
Yes,
Okay, and 2 absent.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
And that's all our council members who are absent at this moment in time. They will either be watching or they will be watching the recording at this point. Yes, wonderful questions, yes. But we will not be making a decision for a third reading tonight. So just to clarify that for anybody who came in a little bit later on that, we want time to kind of digest the information before we
So
proceed
no
forward.
need to be at tonight's meeting.
No
For this
need to
group.
be at tonight's meeting, no. No, we want to give everybody time to let all the information settle in because we've got a lot of people in this room. So with that being said, Ms. Gamble, we'll start off with you and then we'll work our way around the table.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so this all started with me. I met with the town of Evansville probably up to 2 years ago, trying to figure out what a good solution would be to this major problem that we have. And the LAD is the best thing that me and this group came up with. Excluding the portion that Doris, Blakeman, and New Millers pitched in on, that extension of the road. Doris, Neal, and myself have been the majority caretakers of the current road. So there's been not much else that I know that's gone on other than that extension. Even the dirt portions, it's not a ton of work, but it is. The potholes are significant. I worked with Andrew and Hunt a few weeks ago, actually probably a couple months ago, on grading the last extension of Nugget. And within weeks, it was already back to the same poor condition. I just don't see that a dirt road is maintainable. I did want to bring up, there was somewhat of a comment even from town of Evansville. Why should we take on this road? This just seems like a burden to us. I do think it's one of the first entrances into your community. So I think from aesthetic purposes, it is important. Next to Wyoming Boulevard, that's really the only other entrance for visitors and locals into your community. So I do think there's an interest here that town of Evansville should care about. I did speak with the Wyoming Business Council since our last meeting, and they said, I talked to Drew, who we're working with on the Mesa project as well. He said there is a community project grant through the state of Wyoming that he thought that this project could potentially qualify for. And that would be up to $500,000, pending whatever they approved or if they thought this project was qualifiable. So I do see that as a potential opportunity for us to somehow subsidize this project. I could go down, I don't know if you want me to go down sales tax and property tax. I guess there is like frustration, I know, from the whole group that we pay taxes. To what level, I'm not 100% sure. I did calculate our property taxes from this group last year were $106,000. But I get a lot of your guys' budget is fire and police, and it's not all just fixing and maintaining roads. So I would ask the town of Evansville to consider to have some skin in the game in this project. I think that we have paid taxes for the town to maintain the road, and we haven't really been getting that benefit. So I don't know what a number is or what that looks like, but I would make that ask. I'm just, as we go around the room, I'm wondering if with state grant dollars and town of Evansville contributing, if everyone would be more agreeable to this project. And it started two years ago because Hat 6 Travel Center and Doris were just not willing to maintain the road anymore. It's just money in a money pit. So I would rather put money into making the long-term plan instead of continuing to fix this road that just isn't really all that fixable. And I am excited about hearing everyone else's thoughts and how we can get a game plan going forward. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you answered a couple of my questions. Who started this cart without a horse? and
I'm
cart?
right here.
And when did you start it? 2 years ago. I see that. And where did you start it? In this council chambers?
I came down here, we scheduled a meeting because the TA shop was going in at that
So
point.
in this council chambers, okay.
And
I agree,
sorry,
excuse
I
me.
don't want to interrupt you, but The
you
LAD
did.
was brought to us, I think, by the mayor. I think we sat in here, right, Tiffany, and how can we move forward in getting some of this taken care of? And I think the mayor and some council members at that time were the ones that thought an LAD might fit.
And that would have been former Mayor Edwards.
Yes, yeah, but we sat here together and kind of talked about that. That's
Do
where,
you
that's
wanna
where
go
we,
ahead and talk then your 5 minutes?
no,
Okay.
go ahead. I was just,
Okay. So the who, the what, and the where. Why weren't we involved, the other members of the community? Why weren't we involved?
I did approach every landowner out there. I sent letters in the mail saying that this is what was going on, and I got no responses, I got negative responses, and I got positive responses.
Okay, but we weren't asked to the meetings. I wasn't asked, Wayne wasn't asked to the meetings. Just for clarification.
You're correct.
Okay, so I agree. There's some roads that are pretty bad. I don't know the exact amount of money that Wayne and I have spent on the new nice boulevard that we call our area, Blakeman Propane, the New Millers, and I guess it would be your part with the lot that you rent out to the bus people.
Doris.
Yeah, Doris, okay. That part of the road doesn't need anything. As far as the comment about not seeing any upkeep of the roads, we purchased our property in 1986. We have a blade. We've maintained that road for a lot of years, both the portion that goes down to where TCE is. He came in after we did. And of course, Andrew Hunt's very late in the skin game. But we've bladed that road. We bladed the dirt road. We bladed the other little road called Payload, and did it without people paying us any or much money. But, you know, hey, we use the road, so we bladed it. We remove snow on it. When there's snow on it, we remove the snow. It's something that we do, just the way we are. So I agree there needs to be some skin in the game by the town of Evansville, if and only when this goes forward, if it does go forward. I am still going to voice my opinion against the tax assessment district. There is a disparity, and I have a solution on how to handle the disparity of costs that may go into this project if and when it goes in. If you'd like to hear those now, fine, or if you want to go to the,
Absolutely.
okay. Let's do a survey. Let's find out how many trucks, how many vehicles, how many cars enter and leave every property. To me, that would be a good way of telling how many people are contributing to the problems with the road. Let's put a counter strip out at everybody's property. Let's find out. If you can tell how many axles, if it's an 18-wheeler and he's got 4 axles, maybe some of them even have 5 axles, or the big trucks that come in are somewhere back in the big concrete parking lot that you have in the back. They have more than 5 axles. Let's find out how much is going to the destruction of your road. Fair enough? Possibly.
It's a suggestion.
Fair enough.
Any other suggestions?
I already mentioned that maybe you ought to have a little skin in the game. We do pay some taxes, have since 1986 out there, so that's a few years. And upon the discovery of how many vehicles enter and exit each business, or we're gonna find out that some looky-loos just go down to test out the road and see if it is drivable sometime in their daily activity, perhaps to find out where the potholes may or may not exist. I think that we could probably say that the axle counts would be accurate enough for a delegation of funds toward the project based on the amount of traffic that that business accommodates, generates, and or uses in their facility. Fair enough?
Anything additional?
I'm not asking to be treated special, just equal. Okay. oppose there. If I have something else, maybe I can
Wonderful.
get a time later. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I think the answer to the first question here, how did we get this current place? I think part of it, she just touched on, first of all, there was a lot, I think, that happened in the beginning that probably didn't get all the attention that it needed from everybody else. I think that was, something that, you know, whether there was letters or communication sent out, I think that everyone should have had the opportunity to attend those meetings as they occurred. I really don't know what occurred to prevent that, whether it was the people at the sites or it just didn't happen, whatever, but it didn't happen. So I think that was part of the problem. As far as what has been contributed, I don't have that answer from our perspective. What's been paid, what has not been paid. I wished I knew that, but I don't. It sounds like the majority of the maintenance has happened from this perspective. I know since I've been there, we haven't really done much to contribute to that. However, our traffic has been minimal in the last 3 or 4 years, so it hasn't really increased till recently. I think what will help from our perspective, I'm speaking from Halliburton's perspective, is to see that the town does have some contribution. I think that if the state has some money to contribute, I really think that'll help a good bit. I think the biggest issue that I see with this, and I think that we've had it in our discussions on our side, is that we don't know what we're getting. We know we're getting a road. But what kind of road? What is it? What is, and I said it, I believe on the 28th, is it gonna widen? And if it widens, who loses out on that? Somebody's gonna have to give up that. I think that needs to come out. It was mentioned about gutters, it was mentioned about fire hydrants. Maybe that stuff's necessary, maybe it isn't. It was just questions to know what we're getting and what we're not. In the improvement. So, I think most of it's already been said. I don't have much more to say other than I think that we just need to see what's actually going to occur, what we're getting for the money that we're going to contribute. We should know that, I think. I think we should know it right down to the last rock put in the pavement, so. And that's all I've got.
Thank you.
Well, I don't really have much to say anything. I know that Neil and Doris, clear back since 2005, have done this road forever. Neil would go out and pave everything. He did a lot of maintenance on it, and we did come to the town of Evansville back in 2011 and asked if something could be done. I think we were told that's your property, Eastgate Travel Plaza. It's your problem. So we did try to do that and tried to get the neighbors. We had Halliburton, you painted one of the turn arrows for us. That was it, your contribution. And which we appreciated. It only lasted about 2 weeks, but it did get put out there. But we've always tried to do everything with that road, and I really don't know whose boundary lines it does sit on the road. Whose is it? Is it the Travel Plazas? I'm not positive 100%, but those things need to be figured out. But, Halliburton, you have a lot of heavy equipment. And the travel center does get some heavy loads in there too, but that's why we put concrete on it, so it would last. Doris does not mind paying additional. It improves the value of the properties all around. It gets the needed infrastructure and the needed dollars for Evansville from other businesses coming in. It's all about economic growth, which you need. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
All right, I'm
Did
Charlie
you hear the
Shaw.
5-minute limit?
Yeah, I'll say
Okay.
it. I don't know what to say. So I'm Charlie Shaw. My wife and I own the property down at the end of Payload. It's lot 5. we've actually been using this property for a number of years. We acquired it from Jamie's folks here a few years back. We primarily use property for storage. We do have some storage units that we lease down there, but primarily the property is used for our personal storage. Tiffany first reached out to me and talked to me about the project. For us, I mean, we're one of the smaller property owners down there with about 2 acres of ground. For us, that road is nothing. There's not a lot of maintenance on that road. If anybody does it, it's because of you guys coming down there. You have the property adjacent to us there. So paving that road is going to be a big improvement to our property. And I'm looking at this, I mean, this property is going to end up down the line with our kids or for their storage or whatever down the line. So I just look at it as it's an improvement that we're going to benefit from it. Anybody else looking to acquire storage or a small industrial building on the east side of town, property value is just going to go up. It's been mentioned before that, I mean, that's one of the fastest growing industrial areas in Natrona County is that eastern edge of town. Evansville, Casper, that's where the growth is going. I-25 going through there, truck traffic, growth, the oil field, north of Douglas. That's where potential clients want to be. I mean, if you look at the larger projects that's been going on around here, NOV, if you look at what's been going on with Mesa and others in the area, they want to be on that east end of town. So for me, it's fairly simple. I'm going to put money into my property. I'm going to get it out of there. I can't speak for others who have larger pieces of property out there. I mean, it's a bigger expense to them. So I knew going into this that these roads weren't maintained, so I can't point a finger at anybody else. I'm going in and out of there. One time I had to hire a private contractor to go in there and dig me out going in there, but that's the only time I've ever had to do anything down in there. So I guess I'm for the project, but I'm waiting to hear what everybody else has to say. I understand with larger property owners in there, you guys have been paying the bill in there. I get it. So anyway, that's my 4.5 minutes worth.
Thank you.
I think it's up to you guys first. To me, it's mostly the principle of the thing that I disagree with. So we pay the property taxes. You know, when Evansville annexed that industrial subdivision, one would assume that now they own the roads. They own the water lines, and yet we still paid $1 million for a water line improvement. Not me personally, my chunk was about what you're asking here, but to pay property taxes, it's not like writing a check to the IRS. You know, that's going down a black hole. You don't know where that's going. But here, it'd be nice to know that you're getting a little something for it. So I got nothing against roads. I've got something against double and triple taxation. So I'm paying the property taxes. You want to throw this on top of it, which is 10 years worth of property taxes for me, as was the water line thing. And what's next? So get rid of this assessment district as a vehicle to let somebody else pay for. I don't want Tiffany to have to pay double, triple for stuff, even though they're the biggest block on the street. It's wrong, I think. So Mike Hagler bumped into us at breakfast a week or so ago. They're paving the mountain road clear over Muddy Mountain. There's huge amounts of federal money in that, state, county. The money came from everywhere. They didn't go along and see who lived on each side of the road, have them pay for the road. Because when I moved in, when I bought that piece of ground from Charlie in '99, I knew it had a dirt road. I was fine with it. I've had my friend John Bentley graded the times that the new millers didn't grade it over the years, and traded him welding services and whatnot. But we didn't spend much money to maintain that. It doesn't cost a lot of money to maintain it in that manner. But the grader he did a nice job grading that road a month ago. It was still raining. The rain is what does it. So it gets wet, about a dozen trucks, and it's all washboardy and potholy, and they can't find the manhole covers or the water stuff, so it's a thing. But I really think that a homeowners association or an assessment district is the wrong way to go about life. So that's my main premise. Jeremy brought up when trucks make a turn, and I have a couple semis myself. If you walk that road, and I watched Neil put a new approach and road in there several times from the start until it held up to.
We put concrete
So
in it
yeah,
last time.
so if you'll notice, the interstate is a foot thick concrete with huge rebar in it, and I don't think they're expecting it to last 30 years. I heard the number 30 years. I don't see anything lasting 30 years, but everywhere a truck comes out of your parking lot and makes a turn, or theirs or mine, well, we go straight in and out. But you need a thick cement approach in a corner to take that stress. You have a crack in your cement on the last inlet there by the propane tank where the trucks are turning in, and that has not held up. Most of the rest of the concrete in the parking lot still looks brand new, but it needs reinforced corners everywhere a big truck turns. And that corner around my end of Nugget has been taken out every couple of weeks by whatever's driving through there. The old phone box, and they keep moving the reinforcement post back and back, but now there's a huge mud hole, pothole thing that's going to need a lot of concrete if that gets paved. But I think it needs I think we need a combined approach to the funding. I don't see this tax on top of tax thing being a good thing ever.
Thank you.
All right, well, we're the new kids in the neighborhood, I guess. The travels, the TA was completed in 2021, I think. At the time when we did that, we brought in gravel. We added and supplemented and tried to spruce that road up, that extension of Nugget, and tried to make it better. We rolled it and graded it. I think we put in about $35,000 at that time. And then we've graded it a couple times since, I guess, if we're looking for specific numbers on what we've done. So I guess in my opinion, whatever our assessment would be, to get pavement, I think is a pretty fair, if that's the way we have to go. And I think, if we continue on, I mean, if this LAD does not continue, that's what we're looking at is, I don't know that anybody's gonna come running to me and say, let's pave this and here's what we want to give you to help you get that done. So, it's probably gonna cost us 4 times that if we want to get that extension paved. So that's why we're in favor of this, is because I think it brings us all to the table and to kind of get something going there. And I think that the one piece that we haven't really talked about yet is that moving forward, once this LAD is complete, the town starts pitching in on the maintenance. And I'm not exactly sure what that looks like. Maybe the town can help us out on that, but if there is problems, I think the town would now have their skin in the game, if I'm not mistaken, which would be pretty helpful. I could talk, I think we helped Shane with his estimating on the project. I'm gonna let him talk about the section and how they designed that rather than using my 5 minutes for that. Hopefully Shane can kind of talk about what they planned on and how they estimated that. And I, we have to figure out a way to assess this. Traffic counts is an idea. The problem with that is that current traffic counts don't necessarily indicate future traffic counts. We get a nice paved road in there, and the next thing we know, this lot could get sold to somebody who does major truck maintenance or something different than what we're doing. And then all of a sudden they had a very small assessment to start with, and now they're using more and more and more of our road. So I'm not sure that that's exactly the right answer, but exploring different ways to figure that out might be an idea. And yeah, I kind of remember when we first started talking about this, Tiffany was pretty active in soliciting input from the different property owners. I remember her saying that she was calling around, so we're in support.
Thank you. Council members, do you have any questions?
I got a couple.
All right, we'll just go around.
One of them is, the property taxes are brought up all the time. Does anybody have a clarification out of the 106,000? How much of that actually goes to the town of Evansville? Does anybody have any idea?
11%.
11%, so
No, I don't think it's 11.
I think it might be 8. Is that,
Well,
that's our mill levy.
and I heard today 3%.
You heard 3%?
That's what I heard
And
today.
I actually, sorry, I will interject.
Okay.
It's 11%. I went to the county assessors, and so
Okay,
Pat Six's last year was 28,000, and the town of Evansville got
Okay.
3,100.
perfect.
So 11%.
I guess my whole deal there is we are providing some services now, and we're only getting a small portion of that sale or of the property taxes. So when that keeps getting brought up, that's kind of a new subject for me. I mean, we're already providing some services out there, okay? The second thing, and Mr. Schott brought this up, and I thought it was a very good point. I don't know how much that increases the property values, but it's gotta be quite a bit. I just, it's probably more than it costs you, okay? And plus the ease of selling the property. Again, Mr. Schott is in the real estate business, but if you got a nice paved road out there and all your utilities are in there, that's gotta make that property worth more money, to my way of thinking. The grant thing would be awesome. The other part, when we talk about skin in the game, okay, if this all goes through, part of that agreement is that the town of Evansville would take over the maintenance. That might be more skin than we want to take over, okay? Because of the truck traffic and everything else. So I'm not absolutely convinced that it's a good deal for Evansville, okay? Because it could end up being a major thing. The second thing is, and I've driven out there, I'm one of the looky-loos that's driven through out there quite a bit. And we talk about road maintenance, but every time I've been out there, I've never seen anything but potholes and trenches
our
where the,
part.
I'm just saying, I don't know who owns what part, don't care. I really don't care.
Okay.
But anyway, the roads that I have driven on are not maintained on a consistent basis. Okay? And part of it goes back to, and it was brought up, you can go out and maintain it today, and we get a big thunderstorm tonight, and tomorrow you don't even know it's been done. So those, and I'm not sure about the deal with the, going by the amount of traffic that goes in there. That's gonna be hard to regulate. There's no doubt to me, just looking at it, that the truck plaza right now probably brings in more traffic than anybody. But if the oil field picks up tomorrow or in January, like we hope it will, that traffic is gonna increase a lot, okay? So, and that's where, if you start going by traffic, then all of a sudden, that traffic pattern changes. Well, now you're gonna go back and say, Halliburton, you owe us more money because of this. The other thing, and I'll be quiet after this, but my whole thing is, I'm a big believer in doing things right, okay? In my humble opinion, we should be putting in lighting, curbs, gutters, all of that stuff, and get it done right, so we aren't coming back, like Mr. Coleman has mentioned, and coming back 5 years from now and saying, you know what, we got a drainage problem here, we need to put in curbs and gutters. And then we're starting the same process all over again. And just one last little thing, I used to live on Bel Air in the Westwood subdivision over in Casper. They did a project similar to this. All of the homeowners got assessed for whatever property was in front of them, and I would have gladly paid that. And I was on a corner lot, but guess where they quit? They quit at my property line. And so I still had cruddy sidewalks, cruddy streets, but the ones that were in that assessment district didn't pay an awful lot, but for a homeowner, it was more than a business, and that all got taken care of, and they got great streets on half of that subdivision, and the other half are awful, and had something to do with why we moved out of there. So that's some of the things to look at, but I think in conclusion, I think you guys have to me, you've got to look at what it does to your property values, okay? And you have to look at down the road, if you need to sell your property or whatever, it's gonna make your property worthwhile. From a town standpoint, I'm still not completely sold that without doing the project correctly, that we want to get involved in the maintenance.
Thank you.
Okay, that's all I got.
The question I have, which I haven't necessarily heard the answer, or at least I might have to hear it again from anyone, which is fine. I guess I'm not understanding how come back in the day, like the other industrial entities, how come it wasn't, I wanna say up to par then or annexed to the town at that point? But then my next question is if, my comment, it's not a question, if we were to do the thing, I can't imagine Charlie's at his property every day, so he may have 2 entrances a year, you know what I mean? Or let's say 4 entrances as the most, he would pay next to nothing versus, other people have more, I don't think that the counter thing maybe would be a great way to do it, but I guess I'm just confused on how come when that came about, it wasn't done in the very beginning, or why per se it didn't happen way back when, is where I'm at, is I see these other places that are businesses that are going in and it's done and it's done correctly versus on that area, it's there and then it stops, so.
I guess we can't ask the old boys
I
that
know.
started that, can we? Because
I
they're not
know,
here
yeah,
anymore.
and so I'm just confused, that's where I'm kinda
That's
confused at it.
just kind of the way it happened.
When,
We aren't responsible for it.
Okay,
5-minute window
Sorry, I'm done.
with violators.
all right. Chiefs and directors will go to you next. Do you guys have any questions, thoughts?
Currently, no, I don't have any questions or thoughts.
Okay,
I got a couple.
5-minute window, chief.
I'm in the window, as long as I'm not interrupted. All right, so tax money keeps getting brought up. You pointed out $100,000. So if the town gets 11%, that's only roughly $11,000. For the two who have said tax dollars should be used to maintain the road, what legal precedent, whether it be case law or statute, allows for public tax money to maintain a public road? Can you present to the town? Secondly, so there's quite a bit of development fixing to go on. We have a large project in Evansville. There's stories about a home development in Casper on the east side. So there's going to be a significant uptick in traffic in the future. So if the town doesn't take this on, I know some of you don't want to necessarily have a homeowner association, but are you looking into the future? Because I think it's all of our responsibilities as a community to look at the egress of our economy, and that's part of this economy, even though it is a private road. So is that something you guys would entertain as a group if the town doesn't take it over? Have you considered the fact, and I'm going to use the Aspen Trailer Court as an example. At one point, as most of you know, it was quite in despair up there, and there was very large holes to the point that it creates excessive response time, whether it be fire, EMS, police, because you have to dodge potholes, et cetera. Are you looking at that into the future and the economics of this county and community?
Thank you, sir. Very nicely done. Chief?
I don't really have anything.
Okay.
Nope, I don't really have anything.
Mr.
I'll
Porter?
go down rabbit.
So one of the questions or one of the statements that everybody said is that there is not a clear understanding of what they're getting. So can we clarify for
Well,
them, or at least attempt to?
a little bit. I mean, I guess, and that's something we can talk about. So at this stage, there is no design because nobody's paid for a design. I've seen these LEDs happen several different ways. Well, a couple different ways. I've seen it where there's a conceptual design like we have right now and a cost estimate to get the process started. I've seen the city of Casper on a couple of their LEDs pay for the design, then we have a more clear idea of what the project is. And so it's something that could be discussed, is having the design completed by contribution of everybody, or, whatever. It's something that could be discussed. And then you would have a better idea of what that final product is, whether it has streetlights, curb and gutter. And it's all a matter of economics too. I mean, all that costs money. Every amenity we add to it costs more money. I do agree that the turning movements need to be in concrete. At this point, our conceptual estimate has some concrete and some asphalt. But again, it's conceptual. There's no design, there's no geotech, there's no subgrade information, there's no detail on what the design needs to be to finalize the product. So we make a pretty conservative cost estimate because when these LEDs are formed, it requires that the final bid cannot exceed the cost estimate presented to the landowner by more than 10%. So when the project's designed and out to bid, it has to be within 10% of the original numbers that were presented to everybody who voted, for or against the project. So there is some timing issues and I guess, level of detail that even obviously we don't know right now. And I understand your guys' concerns with that. I do. It's a step in the process that can be done different ways. I guess I might just speak a little bit about, I don't know the history of the project or the history of the Hat 6 Industrial Park as far as what happened way back when. It was annexed. We found an annexation ordinance from 2001, and there was a whole group of the property owners that petitioned to annex into the town. And I don't know, that was before any of our time, so we don't know what drove that. We don't know what discussions were had there. I can tell you that I think it was early in 2004 and 2005 when we brought the sewer line out to the area, that it was discovered in the plat language that the roads are not dedicated to the use of the public. They're dedicated to the use of the property owners, and the subdivision specifically says they are not dedicated to the use of the public. And so at that time, typically when a subdivision is designed and annexed into the town, roads are dedicated to the use of the public, which basically makes them town property. It wasn't done this way, and I think it was discovered then. I don't know what the intent of the ordinance originally was, or, I mean, the original annexation, but it was discovered and legal opinions were that town doesn't own the road, can't do anything about it. As far as different ways to assess, Trevor, you can correct me if you have the information from, but I'm pretty sure state statute is pretty specific. There's only two options in LAD. You have area or you have linear feet of street frontage. The only two options. Is it four? Okay, so I might be wrong.
Or a combination of all, not to interrupt too much, but there's 4 ways. The statute says the town shall, and it shall assess by one or more of the following methods. And then it lays out what those methods are. Some of them are really convoluted. And until I had a better idea, I wouldn't want to try and explain them to you guys other than reading the language, but I won't waste your time on that now. Or you can do a combination of them. And so that may be something else to consider. You can do it by lineal feet. You can do it by distance back from the actual improvement itself and how much benefit is going to be conferred on the property that way, whether it's actually touching it or not. So it breaks it down different ways, and then you can combine them, but you do have to do it according to what the statute allows for. Sorry to interrupt.
No, thank you. I think when we looked at it, we felt like the larger lot probably had the larger impact, so acreage made sense with it. It was the way we put it together, and it was the way it was done with the water line. So it was consistency with how the water line LAD was established.
Question, do you know where the property lines extend to as pertaining to the roads?
We do. We had some surveys done when we did the water line way back when, but I guess, it goes, we wouldn't design the road to exceed those right-of-way limits like you talked about. We wouldn't make it any wider than the right-of-way that's there. I don't know, like, if I print this off so small, but I think there's 60-foot right-of-way widths. And I'm sure we have survey data from years being out there that we could recover those and establish that 60-foot right-of-way just based on the plat information.
So Shane, your estimate was 4 inches of asphalt over 8 inches of base
Two
on the unpaved portions.
on the unpaved portion.
And an overlay on the newly paved portion,
We estimate a 2-inch overlay on the recently paved stuff. Yep.
and then stuff that was older and at the beginning, that was gonna be a 4/8 reconstruct, right? Which is what we did on the paving section at the travel center. It's the same paving section we did. It was 4/8, I believe.
And with that cost estimate includes a 20% contingency. So, I mean, that's a pretty large number. It's $183,000 contingency number because of the unknowns at the stage of the project we're at. That contingency number is to help cover, what the final design improvements are and try to ensure that we're not exceeding what we've ever been told by more than 10%.
I don't know if anybody wants a copy of it, but can I get that out?
Yeah, I brought it too.
It's just the same thing. There's just 3 or 4 different copies.
You already had one.
Maybe before you all went out, right? I think you might have had one.
So that's just doing an LID, but isn't there federal money too? You sure whenever the COVID stuff hit, there's stuff for rural transportation companies? Well, I can't remember what it's called, but it came out with the Transportation Act.
I don't know either. I mean, we've looked at over the years, I've been county engineer since 2004. Funding street projects has been the biggest challenge we've had. When we fund water and sewer projects, we get sidewalks in for, ADA type stuff, and funding street projects through grants has been pretty difficult, especially reconstruction projects.
Yeah, it was something, I remember reading about it, but it was in the Transportation Act and there's federal funds for rural communities that support transportation as a travel center would do.
Would that work with that being a private road as of right now?
Wouldn't be private for long if they'd pay for it.
That's one of our challenges is that we have to try to get this switched over. That's one of the challenges with this project, I think.
And it is a chicken and, I'm sorry, it is a chicken and egg thing. When the town doesn't want it till they're done, town doesn't want to put any, till the roads are up to standard, the town doesn't want to take over. The town doesn't want to put any money in until they're up to standard. It's a big vicious circle that the town really, where we're at. I mean, the town doesn't own the roads.
I think that
The town doesn't want to own them until they're something they can maintain.
I might be going over my time limit here, but the town is just about getting ready to go after some pretty nice sized grants for development in another area of the town to bring some business in. I don't see this as much different. I think there's several undeveloped lots out there that could benefit the town if there were developed streets. So I think that there is benefit to the town in this and getting these, there is increased property valuations, increased property taxes on these lots that aren't developed. And property values are gonna go up, as Mr. Shop said. So I think that, I don't see this as much different. As I think at one of the council meetings I was at, it was a $12 million business readiness grant that we were going after. Is that correct?
Yep, 11 point.
Yeah, so this is small potatoes compared to that, and I think that it's a similar situation, although we're benefiting some businesses that have been staples in the Evansville community for a long time. So anything you can do to try to help us out on this, I think all of us business owners would really appreciate. And yes, if we can not have to pay for it through an LAD, I think that would be even more appreciated. But we are people, members and property owners in the town. And that's important that we're remembered when we're doing maintenance and things like that, we pay the same property taxes as people who do get full street maintenance and repair and rehabilitation
And services.
and emergency services. I mean, we're only getting half the services for the same amount of property taxes.
Yeah.
So we would appreciate anything the town could do for
Which then
us.
leads to an increase of property taxes because of the improvements.
They're going up anyway.
Yeah, they're going up anyway. They'll just go up a little more.
Mine are triple what they were when they started. They're almost
You can
double.
imagine how much ours
They're
are.
almost double. Yeah, I can
38
imagine
years.
what you're, but
So we're looking at on the backside of this is that we have full town involvement is what we're excited about.
Are there any final thoughts? Questions, quandaries of mind? Anything final that anybody would like to share or say?
Which just brings me, may I please?
Absolutely.
To the point. I mean, I only drive basically from the edge of this building here, past the post office, down Second Street, is it over here? Down to Evans Road and go on out. And the potholes that are there, ma'am.
It's changed. It's not in the same spot. It's actually moved.
The one in front of the post office has been there about 6 years.
It's moved down.
Same old hole. And at the end of the street down there, when the trucks turn and they make a hole, and the hole has been there for 3 years. So time and temperature, you've got to maintain what you've got to maintain. Don't let it slide. And I just see that sort of thing happening with the trucks. It's gonna slide, it's not gonna be given a priority. My 2 cents, my humble opinion.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any additional final thoughts?
There's a saying about good fences make good neighbors. I think the same can go to roads. And I understand the tax argument. $11,000 is all the town gets, which again, unless there's a legal precedent that can be proved the town for using it on private roads, which I'm sure there isn't. I think as a group, either if the town doesn't take it over, being good neighbors and looking at it as a whole and discussing it, because the fact isn't gonna change. We're gonna continue seeing development. And you guys are the face of not just Evansville, you're the face of Natrona County when people come in. So, we talk about economic buoyancy in our community and growth, and we talk about, we're putting in a playground, we talk about all this development, we got the sports ranch coming in and all this stuff that's going on. Do you want to be the people that everybody's snickering at because your roads look like crap or not being maintained in reality? from a public safety standpoint, I don't want to see it to the point, if it's not being maintained, that we're having to tell our guys, slow down, dodge the holes. I don't know. That's up to you guys as a group. But good roads make good neighbors, just like good fences. So I'm glad that we're all here. I think it's a good discussion. I'll leave it at that.
Any other thoughts?
Could I say one more thing? And
Absolutely.
I don't mean to step on anybody's toes here. I want everybody to understand this right now. The property that I own down there, I sold to my father-in-law. It was sometime in the early 90s, I believe, for $2,000. That property that I sold you, Tim, I don't know what I sold it to.
40,000,
40,000 for how many acres?
4 acres.
Okay, so you can imagine what that's worth today. I don't know what your property is worth. Tiffany, I don't know what
I
your.
don't know either, because I haven't sold it.
Yeah,
The only way we know how much it's worth is how much it sells for.
well,
And I'll probably be dead when I sell it, so it won't matter.
well, I'm gonna go back to many years ago. I got stuck on this rezoning Natrona County board, and I still remember the day that this individual stood up and was talking about how bad his roads were going out to his property out off of, it was off of Salt Creek Highway out there off of one of those industrial roads. It's never been improved, never was adopted into the county, nothing. It's never improved, but basically he wanted that road paved. He wanted somebody else to pay for it. And he was complaining about the front end of his car wearing out because of these poor roads. And I looked at this guy, I said, sir, I said, the reason you bought that property out there, it was inexpensive property at the time, and it was something that you could probably afford. And it was all, where I'm going with all this, is all this property out there was property that was fairly inexpensive at one point in time. It was originally, I think it was developed out there, and I don't remember the guy's name that was developing the truck stop out there at one point in time, but I think it was kind of part of that development. We talked about that there wasn't any sewer out there. There was a really like a 2-inch water line or something that ran out there. But the point being is, and I said this earlier, and I don't want to repeat myself, but that's the way the town is going. It is. The growth is going that way. And one way or another, we're all going to benefit from it, but it is a tough pill to swallow up front and paying, especially if you're a larger property owner in the area and you're using that property. It's a tough pill to swallow. I understand. I do understand it. But that property is going to continue to go up in value. If there's anywhere in Natrona County that property values are going to go up, it's out in that area. Unless we just see a crash again like what we saw in the 80s. So
For the 6th time or?
no. No, the worst time we ever saw that since I've been here. was
82.
in the 80s.
82 was the worst one.
But anyway, that's
I
my
think I've
2
seen
cents.
5.
Okay.
I count 5.
All right, so we are at time for our work session today. If anybody has any additional questions or thoughts, we'll be around.
Small question.
Yep.
How much has been spent already on the previous or the prior, the workings that you're doing? How much money has been spent?
I don't have that number in front of me.
I
don't have that number right now. I'd have to go back and look.
Not even an oddball 5,000 or 25,000? 50,000?
It'd be more in the 5,000 range,
Less than 25?
definitely. It'd be more. It'd be in the 5 to 10 max. I'd have to go back and look at those
Okay.
numbers. We have it.
Okay.
I mean, all our billing is itemized. I could go back and get it exactly, but
And the town has paid that?
yes.
Sorry, so will you tell us what next steps are? You guys go discuss this or?
Yep, so what our plan is up to this point, so again, no decisions will be made tonight in council session. We will not have a third reading as of tonight. Our third reading will probably be closer to, and Janelle, I'm looking at you just to make sure where we're sitting with our calendar.
So the next council meeting is July 8th, and then the one after that's July 22nd.
So as of right now, our council is gonna have to go back and have some heavy discussions about where we're sitting with everything, but we would potentially be looking at July 8th being the third reading. Now, if that changes, then myself or President Edwards will give you guys a call and let you know if it changes to later. But we're gonna have to go back and we're gonna have to do some extra research on some new information regarding all of this, because we're not gonna take this situation lightly, but we're also not gonna make choices and decisions too quickly moving forward without understanding some new information that has been presented. So July 8th is what we're looking at for the third reading. If that changes,
I'll give you a
President Edwards or I will give you guys a call to let you know. Because we want to establish the best form of communication that we can at this point. So July 8th for right now. If anything changes, we'll let you guys know.
Who can look at that tie-in for that other thing you're talking about? You?
What thing?
The other development that's looking at a big grant
For the
situation?
I meant, yeah, for the one you're talking about for the Mesa project.
Yeah.
It wouldn't
We
fit with
don't-
that.
Yeah, that
particular
grant in
And
particular.
that's specific to a committed new business. I mean, that's specific.
One business.
But it's the same program that Tiffany brought up, that what you call community ready, community partner?
Business community ready.
It's community projects grant, and it does have a cap on it up to 500,000.
I sent in a check to the county for $300 to rezone my 40 acres next to me going east. And they cashed the check, but I can't rezone it until I build a road to the old highway. So that stopped that program for now. But
Okay.
I used to think that I could maybe build new shop buildings and lease them out as a general idea. There are too many sticks in the road, Chuck.
There's
So,
always sticks and potholes.
Big sticks.
So let us get some more information, July 8th for the third reading. If it changes, we'll let you know as soon as we possibly can. We won't wait until the last minute to let you guys know if we have to push it back. If we do have to push it back, it's because we're continuing to do some research and continuing to look at additional options.
So are you looking for input from any of us, or is this a closed meeting that your council members are holding?
Our council members, we're not going to hold any private meetings or anything of that nature. Discussions will be had in our council sessions.
And they're open?
Yeah, all council sessions are open. Yep. No closed door
Right,
conversations,
so
none of
when
that.
are you gonna have your meeting?
So what we would end up doing is we're gonna try to get some more information regarding this grant so that I can understand a little bit more about that. And then we will, if there's any updated information or anything that we don't know, we will go ahead and present that on July 8th. If there is confusion or concern or more questions, then we will end up pushing everything back to July 22nd. Great question. Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate you all. Again, no third reading tonight.
Good seeing you.
It's so cute. I know.
How are you?
I just keep in my little hole.
Must be, because I just don't ever see it.
I know, I do.
What
I
you guys
just
can do for us?
stand in basement.